something. Okay, so now the 4-5 matchup is Raptors versus Cavs. Ooh. Okay. Let's take a step back and look at Knicks versus Hawks. The Hawks have been one of the hottest teams in basketball over the last 20 or so games. And I actually like their matchup versus the Cavs a little bit better than I like their matchup versus the Knicks. Um, this is one of those teams that, like, though they have been taking care of business, I had been, even in that big stretch, they won 11 straight games. I'd had questioned what it would look like on a high level. And it's sometimes it is hard for me to like watch a team play against a bad, oh my God, 2020 game from Derek Queen. Welcome to the NBA. The last day of the season is always crazy. I just questioned how some of the things they were going to be able to do would translate to a 7-game series against a team, a better team like the New York Knicks. And one thing I admire about the Atlanta Hawks and would have made them pretty damn good over this stretch is when they decided, and I don't want to make it a Zachary Richase thing because he's a second-year player, but we decided to move Zachary Richase to the bench and really go in on all of the ball handling, right? Nikhil, CJ, Jalen, even Dyson, who may not be a threat from shoot the ball, but all those guys can dribble, pass, and again, until we got to Dyson, shoot at least a little bit. And I think that has opened up their game. They have been able to put together lineups that can rebound great. And if you remember, like when we talk about most disappointed players, again, it's not about Richesse specifically. He was on the list, and it was like, hey, sometimes the shot's not going to fall. Hey, sometimes offensively you may not be developing up to average 15 points in the NBA. But can you grab a rebound? If you're going to be 6'9", 6'10", can you just grab a few rebounds? And since Richesse has gone to the bench, the defensive rebound rate has gone way up. And I say that all to say, I don't think they match up great against the New York Knicks. The one thing they will have is a ton of defenders to throw at Jalen Brunson, between Dyson, between Nikhil, so on and so forth. So that's could be cool. I think they should probably, if I'm Quinn, I'm probably trying to send one at Jalen Brunson all series long, 94 feet to kind of tire him out, in the same way the Pacers did in the last year's conference finals. That when we get to the last 5 minutes of the game, though Jalen Brunson was the clutch player of the year last season, those last 5 minutes are a little bit tougher because the legs are a little bit heavier. Like I mentioned, their defensive rebound rate has gone up, but I wonder how that looks when the Knicks decide to go double big with Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson, who has one of the best offensive rebound rates in all of the NBA. The Knicks have not been as good as we maybe expected them to be, but like I mentioned about a month or so ago, I'm still a believer in their ability to win a few playoff series, to get back to the conference finals or so on. And though I would pick the Knicks today, I think that might just be the end of the sentence. I'll pick the Knicks today, and I would have to go back and, like, the last time they played each other, what did that look like? Wasn't that just a couple days ago? I think that might have been a couple days ago. I think remember watching that game, and that was April 6th. So yeah, a couple days ago. This was the game where CJ McCollum threw that half-court heave up, right? He threw a half-court heave up and it went in, but it was still on his fingertips. Wasn't that this game? Okay, is my mind going crazy? No, that was this game. In this game, Jalen Brunson, if I'm not mistaken, because again, I watched this one, Jalen Brunson scored like 15 straight points in the fourth quarter to close this game. So that's something they got to think about a little bit. But I'm happy for this matchup. I'm happy for the Atlanta Hawks. As I've said all season long, they are in a very good spot as an organization to like be competitive today, but also like another first round pick from the Pelicans. And then the opportunity to do something more if that might be the direction they're going down. And I just don't know if that's the direction they want to go down, but they could. The Cavs versus Raptors is interesting, man. The Raptors are a team that they're a tough team, just straight up a tough team. And I think that might be the advantage that they have over the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs over the last couple of seasons, when they got to the postseason, when they went against a more physical team, they just didn't play well. If we go back 100 years ago, the lights were too bright when they went against the Knicks. They went against the Pacers, and they were just way too physical. And some of these times, they had legitimate injury concerns and injuries. It's one of the first times I'm not thinking about an injury going into a Cavs series. So that's good. But the Raptors do have an opportunity to really test Evan Mobley, to test Jared Allen. Let me see what y'all are about in the 7-game series when we put a couple shoulders into y'all. The game slows down in the postseason, and the Raptors, as we mentioned like a month or so ago, they have, of the playoff teams, one of the worst half-court offenses. And the Cavs are just, I think that there are times where the Cavs can look like an offensive juggernaut between James and Donovan Mitchell creating, and what that means for Jared Allen when it is him and James and like Evan Mobley. And James Harden's connection has got better and better since they've played together over the last couple weeks. I don't think this series is as cut and dry as it may seem on paper, right? The Cavs were a 64-win team last season. They've been pretty solid since they traded for James Harden. And for the most part, the Raptors have been slightly above 500 for like a month or two. But I do think there are some things that the Raptors can do to make it really difficult for the Cleveland Cavaliers when the Cavs are on offense, right? The way they use Scotty Barnes defensively, I'm so excited to see what that really looks like. Do you have him straight up on Evan Mobley? Do you let him roam and have him guard some of the other guys? Actually, think about that 3 spot. No, this is the bigger question. Who's going to be the 3 for the majority of this series when it comes to the unit for the Cavs? We've seen it be Max Strus when he came back from his injury. We've seen it be Sam Merrill for a lot of it. We've seen it be even Dean Wade. And so I don't really know. So where does Scotty end up being defensively, and how disruptive can he really be?